Today is a good day. Sun's shining, it's a chilly winter morning here in Melbourne. I'm settling into the office / studio and there's a message. So, where are we at? I'd like to start these sessions by explaining where I'm at, because that's part of the journey, is understanding where you are currently. So I'm working on this project that I think I've told you about. Not too sure. Haven't told you the name of it yet, but I'll get there, I promise. But I've got some interviews with 2 designers, which is great. So I've built a prototype, and I've got a designer that I found on Upwork in Israel, and another pair of designers here in Melbourne that I'll be meeting with some point this week, and hopefully be able to record those and get some details to you guys about that. So that's exciting, moving forward with the refining of the prototype for that product, which I promise I'll tell you sooner or later. Let me just sort of form it into something a bit more solid. So that particular brand also starting to record some content for that, which is exciting. You know, a big part that I really enjoy about creating brands and starting new ventures like this is the content marketing strategy. And creating that content. I think it's super fun and it's super creative. You know, I have a history in music production, as you can see, studio stuff everywhere, even all my gear there. I'm a producer at heart. I love producing things, and that whole process is about taking ideas from all of your influences, all of the things that you're into at that particular time, and turning that into something, and turning that into a song. And that's the history of the music industry. And I think when you speak about innovation and creation, it's interesting to use music and the history of music as a great learning experience. Even if you're not a musician, if you look and you study the history of music and how that's developed over time, there's some really interesting patterns you see forming. And what I mean by that is, you can see it these days. You might hear a song and you're like, oh, that kind of sounds like this song or that song. You know, hear a song by Bruno Mars, for instance. I was going to say Downtown, but that's Macklemore. But same, both of those are great examples. You listen to those songs and you say, wow, this sounds super familiar. Like I can pick, 3 or 4 songs that he's referenced, the Bruno Mars example, and 3 or 4 songs that Macklemore and Ryan Lewis have referenced in Downtown. But what's beautiful about those examples is they've taken that and have created something new from it. And that's where we are in creation at the moment, in terms of our evolution of creation, is that we're not necessarily creating something brand new. When man invented fire or discovered fire, that was something fucking new. No one was taking fire and cooking food with it. That was a very real new discovery. But now when someone creates a brand new product or service, it's usually what I like to understand, and what there's a great book called Where Good Ideas Come From by Steven Johnson. I'll put a link to it down below on Amazon. It's an amazing book, and the one point I love about it is how he describes innovation, and he describes this thing called the adjacent possible, and that's the understanding that innovation that you do is always going to come from the adjacent possible. And what that means is it's in your immediate vicinity, the innovation that you're going to come up with, because we all have a very unique individual perspective on the world, and it's only logical that innovation is going to come from all the inputs that have come into you, all your influences. They're going to form and coagulate within your mind, within your subconscious, and you're going to create something from that. That's how music is made. If you listen to musicians, some of the greatest musicians of our time and of the past talk about their creative process, it happens like that. They fill their mind with theory, with influences. They go see art, they read books, they play music, and then they'll be in a dream and it'll come to them. Or they'll just be in a studio with a guitar and something will come to them. And that's this creation process that happens. So what I love about that is the understanding that to broaden your understanding of your adjacent possible, the best thing to do is learn. The more you learn, the greater your adjacent possible is. And to understand that concept of the adjacent possible, Steven Johnson, yes, that's his name, uses the example of a massive house, and you walk into a house and you've got, on each of the walls you have doors, and that's the idea of adjacent possible. Where you can move into next is one of those doors. They are your adjacent possible options. So innovation happens in those rooms, in the vicinity. So part of the issue with entrepreneurs is they have these big ideas which are so far away from their adjacent possible that they actually don't have the skills to get there. So there's two ways that I've realized that I need to tackle this adjacent possible concept in terms of innovation, and applying that to my entrepreneurship and the businesses and ideas that I create is twofold. Is your ideas, yes, you can have big ideas, but they have to start somewhere. They have to start on a small level. They have to start in that adjacent possible. If you do have ideas that feel like they're out of your adjacent possible, then there's two things you can do. First is learn. The more you learn, the greater that adjacent possible becomes. And I don't necessarily like to think about that adjacent possible as rooms in your vicinity. I actually like to think about it as a sphere. I think it's a lot more complex than just having 3 or 4 options. Everything that inputs into you, everything you digest, content, experiences in your life, that all contributes to your adjacent possible. So for me, it's more of a sphere, and connecting those dots is what creates innovation, and that's your best bet, your best possibility to create something strong that you're going to believe in yourself, is because that's the sphere that surrounds you. It's not someone else's sphere, it's your sphere. So that the one thing is to learn, is by learning you expand that sphere of adjacent possible. The second thing is collaboration, creating teams. If you come together and you co-found something, or with one other person or several other people, you collectively form an adjacent possible with all of those skills combined. So that's a far greater sphere that comes out of that than just your own. So collaboration is massive. That's why we have bands in music, because people get together and they can form something from that's greater than the sum of the parts, that was better than any one of those individuals could. So my 2 tips for the day are: work out what your adjacent possible is and broaden your skills however you can. And if you've got an idea you're working on, attack it from either of those angles. Try and find a co-founder if you can, or if not, learn as much about what you can't achieve as possible. And there's a long-term project that I'm working on called Pollenize, and I will do a proper introduction for you guys about that at some point. I don't think it's quite fitting now, but I'll probably do a whole video about that. That whole project is about innovation, and I'm working on it with a great mate of mine, Shirov, and we've got so much to develop in that. And that's definitely a long-term project that's very close to my heart, very close to both of our hearts. So more on that at some point in time. But to get back to what I was saying, which was where I'm at the moment. So yeah, I'm meeting sometime this week with two different designers for this new product I'm working on. I really haven't described the scope of where I'm at the moment, and maybe that's another video. I'm not too sure, but I'm excited by the next few weeks coming. Part of entrepreneurship and developing your own personality and your brand and getting your hustle on is that you got to do a lot of different things to pull that all together. So the next couple of weeks, I'm utilizing a bunch of my different skills to hustle and make some cash to feed these projects that I'm doing. So this week I'm heading over to Geelong Grammar to do some workshops with some good friends of mine, Jeremy and Julia. Really looking forward to that. We've done it last year and it was amazing. We basically get together two groups of students, and we make a song each in a day, which is heaps of fun. And then we get to do a performance on that as well, which is great. Jeremy Green is the awesome dude. Grey Ghost, good mate of mine, amazing artist, both graphically and musically. One of my favourite MCs in the country, and I always love working with him. So we'll be doing some studio sessions together with these kids, and I think we're doing a performance together. I DJ for him, so we do the second night we're there, or the first night we do a show for the kids, and it's heaps of fun. So that's going to be cool. I'll try and capture as much of that as I can. And then the following week with my partner Netta, we're doing some workshops with some kids as well, that's just going to be awesome. But more on that next week. So this week for me, what I'm focusing on is trying to get the design of this new product together. I'll reveal that to you eventually. So that's exciting. I love that part, and that's part of that collaboration phase. Like I whipped up a quick prototype myself for this particular product, and I can't take it further. I haven't got the skills or the knowledge in that area to take it further. But I was happy that I created a prototype because it really made me hone in on my value proposition of the product itself. And I'm looking forward to speak more about that eventually. For now though, that's about it. I have to focus on the workshops this week and also hooking in with family. As I think I've mentioned or might not have mentioned already, my old man is recovering from a workplace accident. He's out of hospital, which is great, and he's at home watching way too much YouTube. So I'm trying to get there and go with him on a few walks, get him outside, get his body moving again while he's healing some cracked bones. But we'll get there with that. So that's family stuff, and that's about it. I will do a video which explains all those projects I'm working on and sort of my process there. And I think I want to develop a series, a bit of a deep dive into those past projects and what I've learned from those projects, because that's particularly what I want to share in these videos is the process and the learnings, both the professional learnings and also the personal and psycho-emotional learnings that I've had to go through to get to where I am now. And not that where I am is anywhere special. What I think is special about my situation is I'm just persistent. I've failed more than most. I've learned so much from those failures, and I think with this project that I'm working on at the moment, that I will reveal soon, I really think I've got something special, and I think it's going to be my first successful project. And that's a whole nother video I want to talk about, which is the definition of success. My definition of success, and why it's important that you also define what success is for you. So I think I'll leave it there. This video is getting a bit long, but I'm still trying to work out the format of what I'm doing, so bear with me. But I hope you're learning something. If there's anything you particularly want to know, any questions you have, leave it in the comments down below, and I'll see you tomorrow, I guess. I'll try to keep these daily. We'll see how we go. Mars Attacks, over and out.